Continuing our work now with a table here in OneNote. Once you've got it inserted and you've got the right number of columns and rows, the right widths for your columns, everything's looking good, you might want to do a little bit of formatting to the content in that table. That's what we're going to talk about now. Now, OneNote is all about taking notes and not spending a whole bunch of time on formatting, but to make this table a little more pleasing to the eye, and when you're organizing data, you want to make it easy to look at, we might want to do some formatting. So we're going to start work with this table down below and the title up here, Responsibilities. If you were following along with me in the previous lesson, you're ready to go. And if you've skipped to this lesson, you've got the exercise files and you'd like to get all caught up, you can do so by going to the Lesson 4 folder and opening up UC 2008C. Here in the to-do list section, you'll see exactly what I see. Next thing I'm going to do though is double click on Responsibilities. I think this would look better over here in the center column. So I'm going to double click it and I'm going to cut this. I'm going to remove it from there and paste it there. I want you to see what happens though when I remove it from this column. Currently it's the widest item in this column. I'm going to go up to my cut button. You can do a Control X or go to the edit menu, your choice. When you cut it, look what happens. This column width just went down to its widest item, which happens to be one of these names in the column. So we'll get back to that in a second. Right now I'm going to click above Schedule and I'm going to paste. Control V on your keyboard, paste button, edit menu, your choice. Let's get it in there and now we've moved it. Perfect. Let's go over to the border between the first two columns and just click and drag that out a little bit just to make it more uniform and easier to read. Great. All right, let's select these cells here. David, Karen, Sam, and Paula. Now if I click and drag straight down, look what happens. I get all of these cells as well. So what I'd really like to do is just format the names. I'm going to double click on the name David. And if I go down here and double click on Karen while holding down my Control key, I can select multiple items without selecting all of the contents to the right. So keeping your Control key pressed in, double click Sam and double click Paula. Now you can let go of the Control key. With those four names selected, now we can do a little bit of formatting. And we can do the formatting from the Format menu, or you'll notice we've got a formatting toolbar that shows up here by default with some of the options for formatting showing up. I've got font size, there's bold, bullets, font color, highlighter. Now depending on your screen resolution, you may see more buttons than I do. But I notice this double arrow here indicating there's more buttons than what I'm seeing, including the font name, italics, underlining. I've got a list or numbering button, indents as well. And I don't see anything in here for like centering or alignment. But if I go down to where it says Add Remove Buttons, I can actually customize my formatting toolbar by going down to Formatting and turning on some additional options such as left, center, and right alignment. Notice though that I do have keyboard shortcuts. Instead of cluttering up my toolbar, I think I'll just memorize these. Control left, Control right, L and R, that's easy. Center, Control E. Control C is taken for copy, so that's why we see Control E for center. I'm just going to remember that now. Okay. Now before we center these names, let's go up to the bold button. I'm going to bold these. That looks good. And maybe change the color. I'm going to go to the font color drop down and choose a dark blue. Let's go even darker than that. That's the one I want right there. And I'll just click in any cell to see the end result. That's looking better. Okay, the word responsibilities, let's double click it and center that. So Control E, as you may recall, is the keyboard shortcut. And if you want to add those buttons to your formatting toolbar, please feel free to do so just by clicking the little drop down button here. You'll see toolbar options, add or remove buttons, and you want to add the formatting buttons to the formatting toolbar. Simple as that. Okay, with responsibilities still selected though, I'd like that underlined and bolded. There we go, that looks good. Maybe even change the font size. I'm going to bump that up to 12. And you can see it doesn't quite fit and it doesn't stretch out the column because it's formatting, not necessarily content. So in that case I do need to come in here just to the right of responsibilities and drag it out a little bit so it fits nicely in the center of that cell. I'll deselect by clicking anywhere to see the end result. All right, let's select workshops, schedule, guest speakers, social event. That I can click and drag over and not get any additional selections. So that works out nicely. I could also select the entire row just by clicking anywhere in this row and going up to the table menu and choosing Select Rows. Now the whole row is selected, so whatever formatting I do will apply. This I'd like centered as well. Control E on my keyboard will center all of those. Now, I really should do these X's too, don't you think? I'm going to do that by double-clicking. Now, if I was to click and drag across and down, I would get all these names as well. So I'm going to use my Control key to double-click each of the X's. And the order's not important, just so long as you get the entire character highlighted or selected. There we go. Still holding down Control E. It's going to center those. And I think they would look better in a different color, maybe bolded and larger. So I'm going to bold, change the font size. I'm going to go up to 14. And I'm going to change the color. I want you to see what happened when I changed the font size to something bigger. The row heights actually grew to accommodate those bigger fonts. So something else that happens automatically. There, I like that. All right, let's go back to workshops here. Those are centered, but I think they should be standing out a little bit as well. This time I'm going to go up to the Format menu and select Font from here. Shortcut on the keyboard, Control D, opens up this side panel here where I've got access to different fonts as well as font options down below. So let's do a little bit of work with our labels here for each of our columns. I'm going to choose a different font. I'm going to scroll up to a nice thick font, Arial Black. You can see the change there. I might need to change the font size down so they fit nicely. I can do that from here as well. Let's try 10. No, still doesn't all fit on one line. How about 9? That works well. Change the font color. I'm going to go to a color that really stands out here, maybe violet. See what that looks like. Maybe something darker. I'm going to go to a dark green for that. There we go. That looks pretty good. I've also got those other text effects down below, bold, italics, underlining. I've got strike through, superscript, and subscript. But everything else looks pretty good from here. So I can close up my font pane by clicking the close button up here in the top right corner. Back to full screen view here. I'm going to click outside the table to see the end result. And that's some simple formatting that makes my table a whole lot easier to look at and understand what's going on inside.